Souptember. This is Kelly with IfYouHaveAnEgg.com, and today we are part of a 16 YouTuber collaboration hosted by Joan's Pointed Plate, and we are doing, you guessed it, a soup collab. So there are going to be 16 of us releasing soup videos all at the same time this morning. I am going to be doing an unstuffed cabbage roll soup. I love unstuffed cabbage, well, I love cabbage rolls. Yeah, I love unstuffed cabbage rolls, and the unstuffed cabbage roll soup is the perfect way to combine all of those and get one of your favorites, and it's something that you can make a big batch of and you can store for later. It's delicious, it's filling, everybody's gonna love it. Let's get started. We are going to be using a Nesco pressure cooker. For this, you can also use an Instant Pot, or if you have a different brand of a pressure cooker, you can go ahead and use that. A few of the ingredients that we're going to be using: lean ground beef, lean pork, ground pork. You can also use Italian sausage if you'd like to. If you'd rather use chicken or turkey, you're more than welcome to. We're also going to be using a little bit of olive oil, some Italian seasoning, lots of tomatoes, and tomato soup. Yes, tomato soup is one of the main ingredients in this, instead of just using all tomatoes, and of course cabbage. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to brown that ground beef and the ground pork. I'm going to be using a pound of each one because I want to make a big batch of this. I need to have enough to freeze and enough to take to work. Again, I'm using a Nesco pressure cooker. Whatever brand you have, if you have an Instant Pot, you're going to have to follow those directions. But in order to get this browned, we're going to start by clicking brown. I believe on an Instant Pot, I'm trying to think what it says on an Instant Pot. Anyway, it's a different button, but on the Nesco pressure cooker, you're going to click the brown button, and you want to let it come up to heat. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil to that. Notice I'm not measuring. I'm just using my trusty olive oil from Trader Joe's that has this cute little spout on top to do my measuring for me. So we're going to let that heat up just a little bit, and then to that we'll be adding some diced onions. We have had a horrific week this week. It's actually going to be okay. Both of the girls are sick. This video is being done at like 4:30 in the morning because everybody's been sick and at the hospital this week. So we are going for convenience today. So the first thing I'm going to add, you want about a half a cup or one diced onion. No time for that today. Yeah, the busy grandma trying to help take care of the kids day. So instead, I went ahead and bought a little pack of pre-diced onions. We're just going to add that to our olive oil in the Instant Pot. You can use yellow or white onions. Doesn't matter which color. We're going to go ahead and drop that on in there. And then we're going to add our ground beef and our ground pork. I got lean ground beef and lean ground pork. So the pork that I got is 85% lean and 15% fat. If you are doing Weight Watchers or some other program, or if you need to have a little bit, lower fat, ground product, you can use chicken or turkey. I'm going to go ahead and get my ground pork in there. Should be just a few more minutes until we are up to warm. And we're going to get that all nice and browned. Next, we're going to add our ground beef. And again, ground turkey, ground chicken, either one would be fine. And if you are part of our If You Have an Egg Facebook group, then you already know that we've been talking about making your own ground chicken. And you can do that with turkey too. You can scoot on over to If You Have an Egg. You can also go to IfYouHaveAnEgg.com and get more information on how to do that. But over in the If You Have an Egg group, we have a couple of ladies who realized this summer that they were spending way too much money on ground chicken. And so they found if you took chicken breasts and froze them, cut them into about 1-inch cubes, put them in the freezer, froze them for about an hour, and then put them in the food processor and just pulse, you can make your own ground chicken. So we're going to give that a few minutes to brown up, and I will be right back. Okay, so we're about 5 minutes in, and our ground beef and ground pork are nice and brown. I failed to mention before that when you hit the brown button on your Nesco, you also need to hit the start button. So we're going to hit the start button again to stop that. So we're going to stop the browning process. We needed to cancel that. So we're going to go ahead and hit that so that that will stop browning, because we're getting ready to move on to the pressure cooking portion of it. To the ground beef and to the ground pork, I added, while we were off camera, I added a clove of garlic, and I also added some Dax Italian Blast seasoning. You can add whatever kind of seasoning you like. Some people use bay leaves, some people use turmeric, some people just use different spices. So far we've got about a pound, because I want to make a big batch of it. So we've got about a pound of lean ground beef, about a pound of lean ground pork, a tablespoon of olive oil, about a half a cup or one chopped onion. And remember, I used the cheater container because we've had a super busy, crazy week. Some Italian seasoning and a clove of garlic. Then to that, what you're going to add is a cup, because I'm making a big batch. If you are making a smaller batch, you can add less. I'm going to add about a cup of long grain wild rice. It doesn't really matter what kind it is. I'm going to go ahead and use white rice because I need to be able to serve this at work and I need people to eat it. So we're going to add about a cup of any kind of long grain rice to that. We're going to, cheating again, because again, it's been a long week. I did not have time to chop up a head of cabbage. And who needs to, really? You've got these cheater things available to you. This is a bag of Dole Classic Coleslaw. You can use any brand. You're going to want to use the variety though. Don't use the ones that are chopped really small, like for Southern style coleslaw. So this is more of like a long cut of coleslaw, and you'll see when I get this bag open here, so it's more like shredded. So it's like shredded coleslaw. You're going to put that in there. It's totally fine, and it's got carrots and things in it. No, absolutely not a problem to have some carrots in your unstuffed cabbage roll soup recipe. Let's go ahead and add, I'm going to add 2 bags. Again, if you're just making a batch, just for yourself, just for your family, don't want any extras, you can just use 1 bag of this, or you can use a smaller head of cabbage. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 because I need to be able to freeze some. So I'm going to put that in there. Okay, and then to that, I'm going to add a large can of diced tomatoes. So just any brand diced tomatoes, I'm going to add that right on top. Then to that, I'm going to add a can of condensed tomato soup. Any brand of tomato soup, but tomato soup, instead, you can use tomato paste, but tomato soup just gives it a completely different flavor. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 carton of beef stock, and this happens to be bone broth. You can use beef stock, you can use vegetable stock if you prefer to. You can use low sodium. We're just going to add that in. Okay, and once you have everything in your pot, you are going to want to close the lid, and we're going to bring it up to pressure. So on the Nesco, and actually don't stir. So you don't want to stir anything. Just put it in there just like I told you. Go ahead and get your lid closed, and we're going to bring it up to pressure. So on the Nesco, we're going to close the lid, and we're going to turn it, I guess that would be counterclockwise. We're going to turn it counterclockwise, and on the top, it has a little steam vent. We're going to turn that to, it has 2 choices, exhaust or airtight. We're going to turn it to airtight, and it does have a little green weight. So if you live above 1,000 feet elevation, you're going to want to use the little green weight that comes on top of it. I'm going to use the black one because we're under 1,000 square feet. So I've got it locked now. You want to make sure it's in the locked position, and then you're going to go ahead and click pressure cook, and we're going to cook it under pressure for 5 minutes. So we're going to add 5 minutes to the time, and then you do want to push start again. Don't forget to push start. So we're going to push start, and you're going to see the little dial is spinning now. So what that's doing is that's going to bring it up to pressure, and as soon as it comes up to pressure, then it's going to beep 3 times, and this is on the Nesco. If you're using an Instant Pot, it's going to be a little bit different instructions, but once it is under pressure, it's going to beep 3 times, and then it's going to start the countdown from 5 minutes down, and then it will be time for the next step. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're all done. That took about 15 minutes to build up to pressure, and then I let it, then it sat for the 5 minutes, so it was under pressure for 5 minutes. Then I let it sit for 10 minutes with a natural pressure release. That just means you don't do anything. You just leave it completely alone. And then after the 10 minutes, then you flip the weight that we talked about earlier. You flip it around to exhaust so that it can go ahead and release the rest of the steam. Should be all released now. That's been about another 10 minutes. So all the pressure should be released now, and I should be able to easily, and I can, take the lid, turn it around, do that carefully. I forgot to mention when you flip that little exhaust around, it's pretty hot. So there's a lot of steam coming out. So I usually use a dish towel to do that. And if you all know Dusty, so if you've been around for very long and you know Dusty, he's up now because he could smell what was cooking in the pressure cooker, and he's excited, he wants some. So we're gonna dish this up. I'll be right back. And finally, here we go. This is unstuffed cabbage roll soup. So yummy, so delicious. You'll have to calculate your own points since we're on personal points now. You can have this with, believe it or not, it's great with a side of mashed potatoes. I know, crazy, but it is fantastic if you just add a little side of mashed potatoes. I'm gonna use some crusty bread. You could add some fresh herbs to the top if you want to. It smells fantastic. The proportions that I used are enough for, trust me, it's enough for us to have soup for a couple of days, and we'll be able to put some in the super cubes to freeze for later. But let's go ahead and try it with some of that crusty bread. This is gonna be so yummy. I can already smell it. It smells fantastic. And I'm serious, the addition of the tomato soup makes all the difference in the world. Oh. With a little bite of crusty bread, that is so good. So delicious. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you will check out the other YouTubers. They are listed in the description for this video, so if you'll just go ahead and look below in the description, you can get the names and the website addresses of the other 15 YouTubers. Actually, it's their YouTube links. You can get those if you'll just check out the comments below, or if you check in the description. And I hope you'll comment below if you do make this, the unstuffed cabbage roll soup, or if you just watched another video in the collab, or if you want to see me more, let me know. Go ahead and comment below. I hope that you will let that next video roll over. I promise you'll enjoy it. And I hope that you will subscribe and click that little bell so that you'll know when we do our next video. So I had a great time. Joan, thank you so much. This was so much fun. Even if we did have a wild week, and even if I didn't have to get up at 4 o'clock to make this, I'm totally on board for eating this soup at 4 o'clock in the morning. But y'all have a great week, and I will see you next time.